Hey, we've got Loogootee boys tennis coach, sectional tennis champion, TJ Mcatee with us. TJ, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Pretty exciting week.
It is an exciting week. Yep, it's always a big week. There's a lot of lead up, and it's nice to have that week behind us and obviously come out successfully.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the season. I mean, what a tremendous season again it was. Yeah, we'll talk about the sectional and the Bar Reeve match and the sectional championship. We'll talk about the upcoming regional. It's Sullivan on Tuesday night at Jasper. And TJ, I also obviously want to talk to you about your seniors and what a great core. We'll get into them in just a little bit. But let's start with the season. You knew with the group coming back, veterans that you have, it was going to be a really good season. Where were you at the end of the season in regards to your expectations?
So you're saying this season,
yeah,
correct? So look, we know that with the group that we have and with the talent that we have, sectional victory was something that we expected. We thought based on what we've seen in the season and based on what we know of ourselves, we know we have the talent to win sectional, and then obviously looking ahead to regional. You don't look ahead, but that's our expectation. And then to go into regional, and I think last year we were a set away at regional versus Jasper in the championship, and I think to say that our expectation and our goal is not to win regional would be wrong. I mean that's where our goal was last year. That's where our goal is this year, and I think the way that we've been playing and the way that we have structured our schedule to add competition and put ourselves in situations where we're playing some really good competitors throughout the season. That our goal is to go to Jasper and win regional.
So this, your schedule, the makeup of your schedule. Now, for those of you who don't know, but if you're watching this, this is a one-class sport. Just like the old class when there weren't any classes in basketball. So you've got your small schools going up big schools, possibly. Loogootee against Jasper would be considered small to big in this room. But it reminds me, TJ, of back in the day in basketball, your schedule. Because it didn't matter who we scheduled. We would schedule those big teams with the expectation of beating them.
Right.
And many of them, most of them, you beat this year. So you beef up your schedule for a reason, and it's all to prepare for a week like this, right?
Correct. Yeah. Last year, I remember at the end of the year having that conversation, even at our awards banquet. It's like, we added, last year would have been Brownsburg, Bloomington North, Bloomington South, Floyd. We played New Albany as well. I may be missing some, right? But we added a lot, and I think when we could look back on a season and say, man, we added a lot of teams that we are not familiar with necessarily, or are bigger, or were ranked higher, and we competed and we won in most cases. It just shows where we are as a program, and I tell the guys that we are an elite program, and I think last year showed that we deserve to be in that category.
So 6 consecutive sectional.
Correct.
Now, did I see, unless I read it wrong, I think it was Loogootee Sports put it on Facebook, that this is the 6th time that Loogootee has won 6 consecutive sectionals?
So that I don't know.
That's what I thought I read. That seems a little like a lot.
I should know that, but I don't.
I don't know. That alone is 36 sectionals. So
Right.
somebody knows. But regardless, the tennis program, in all fairness, outside of going deep into tournaments, probably the most successful program that we've had consistently over the years.
The consistency has been amazing. You look at, Coach Graves. So I played for Coach Graves, and then when I think it was my, junior or senior year, then Mike Tippery came on and was Rick's assistant. And then ever since then, it's been those two names, and that was 23, 24 years ago. So it's been those two names for the past 23, 24 years. And then, so then I was lucky enough to inherit a program that had been led by them for so long. And when you have that consistency and the same ideals and the same goals and everyone moving in the same direction for so long, because you had both of them that had obviously coached together and had that relationship. And no matter who was in kind of the head coach position, you knew that there was always consult on the other side, so a lot of consistency.
So why did you jump in? And the circumstances around that? Did they just need somebody and you said, I'm that guy? Or tell me what led up to you. This is your second year.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So second year, so I knew that there was the opportunity, and it was somewhere around the May time frame, and just decided, yeah. So obviously I had played. I had played in high school, and then I had played in college, and I'd really, outside of alumni events, I hadn't played much tennis, but I knew that there was that there was an opening and that there was a need, and I talked to Tracy about it, and it was like, yeah, it could be a good fit, right? So, jumped in, and I often say it was kind of like, getting your driver's license and a Ferrari in the same day, because it's like, okay,
Here we go.
you are now the head of this program, and by the way, this is the team that you have, and obviously, tremendous amount of talent, tremendous amount of heart, and now I needed to be the one to keep guiding them to reaching their full potential. So,
all right. Well, let's talk about the sectional. As you said, there is an expectation every year to win, and you did, but and I was there on the night that I'll tell you where I came in, and I saw Jordan Dant. Right, Jordan's one of your assistants.
Yeah.
And I don't want to bother you, but I had to find out where you feel like we are. Doesn't look good. That's all he said. And I'm like, oh. And so I sat around, watched the rest of it one by one, and it came down to Brandon Bloodsaw. And incredibly, he comes back for 1-0 to tie it, and it rains.
Right.
Now, I thought it looked like that might be a good thing because Brandon was gassed. Now, maybe the other guy was too for bar reading. But what were your feelings at that point? That when the rains came and they said, we're going to suspend play? With one set to go.
Yep. So two factors: fatigue, one, and momentum. And momentum is so big in tennis, because I think Xavier had serve there, but Brandon had the momentum going into the third set for sure. Winning that second set. So that's a huge aspect in my mind, especially with Brandon. Momentum and Brandon trumps fatigue, right? So I think we have the same result if there's no rain and we go that third set at whatever time it was, right? 9:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, late. But that's not how it happened, and there was rain. So yeah, I walk out on the court, and the official, she's talking about the conditions of the court, and I had told Brandon earlier because I think he had mentioned something about rain, and I was just trying to be calming, like, hey, it started and stopped twice now. We should be good. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously this didn't stop. So when we came out, it was like, hey, we need to make a decision, and obviously the way it rained after we all came off the court, there was no other decision to be made. But in that time. Just with the amount of water that we have, when we were standing there at the net with Brandon and Xavier right next to us, it was the right decision. Mm-hmm. But yes, I think that decision had to be made, and it was obviously the right one. But I feel like with Brandon and having the momentum, I think we have the same result. But obviously coming back the next day. I think there were a lot of people that were nervous that day, Brandon included. He would never tell you that. Oh. And he didn't show it, and he is, and I told him that I was extremely happy that it's him that's going out on that court. Mm-hmm. He is a bulldog.
That's the term I hear everybody say.
Yeah, he will find a way to win, and he will battle you until the last minute. And, it was tight there. Up until 3-3, and then he was able to get a break, move ahead, mm-hmm. and in a short sprint like that, that's huge, right? Getting that break, so just able to manage and then take his opportunity and capitalize on it.
But think about that if you're Brandon, and you thought about it. Brandon's thought of it, but Brandon's going to bed that night, and he is the only hope that those teammates of his that are seniors have not played their last match ever.
Right.
So that's got to put a lot of pressure on him. But I don't know that went into his mind, but it had to a little bit, right?
I'm sure it did. So I texted him late in the day, and I said, did you get a lot of love at school today? And he said yes. Yeah. So obviously, that would have been cool.
A lot more this tomorrow. You'll get a lot more love.
Yeah, right. So, like people know the situation that we're in. They know Brandon, and just knowing that there's a lot of awareness of what he had on his shoulders, and trying to lift him up that day was good. And when I got to the courts, he was already there, so he was.
Oh my gosh, he couldn't sleep much that night.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so he's a senior. The core of your group is pretty well all seniors, except Cohen Wagner, right?
Correct.
So just briefly, one by one, if you could just describe, and let's start with your number one, and that's Isaac Wagner.
Isaac, yep. Isaac, he's pretty level as far as emotion goes. He can battle anyone in the state, anyone that we have played or will play. I can put my money on Isaac. He finds a way to win. He's not flashy, but man, he's effective. He goes into each match and he believes in himself. And I would say quietly, like I said, there's not a whole lot of emotion there, but he listens. He listens to kind of what we have to say. If he thinks it's going to benefit him in the match, but he's a competitor, and that's what, as I talk down through each of these guys, I'm probably going to have a lot of the same sentiment. But you go up to some of these guys at Floyd or Bloomington North. He kind of meets the best of the best head on, night in and night out. And if there's someone who never gets a night off, it's Isaac. In any of these programs that we play, out of 7 guys, big schools, small schools, they're going to bring somebody that can play tennis normally, right? And he's the one that if they just have 1 or 2, he's the one that's going to get them. So that's a big burden to have all season and to stay consistent and to stay confident like he does. That's a huge testament to him as a competitor. That he knows that there are no nights off for me, and he comes out and has another great season and shows what he can do.
Yeah, and I've never had a conversation with Isaac, and not a lot of people have, probably. He's a quiet guy. But I take that as he's all business. I watched that match. Unfortunately, in that one, he didn't win, and he took it hard. I know. He didn't know if that was going to be his last match. But still, he's all business, and he does bring it every night. And he's, as you said, tough competitor. He's not for a reason. He
is. And so tennis aside, he's a heck of a baseball player and good basketball player. And it's like, so I'll say this about all of our guys as well, and I've told them and I've told others that, having athletes that are well-rounded is extremely beneficial for us because they know how to compete as a team, they know how to win, they know how to lose, but they also, in those losses, they know how to bounce back, and I think they don't wear things very long.
Yeah.
But they just have been in so many different situations from the time they were young until today that tell them that, they belong in the realm that they're in as far as competitiveness and the competition, and that they have seen a lot of success, right? So they know how to get things done, and it's evident.
Yeah, that's the thing. Individually, and this team in particular, as a group, has worked together.
Yep.
All right, your number 1 Dubs. Couple of pretty good seniors there too.
Yes. So Drew and Layton. This is our first year playing together, right?
Okay.
So Drew played 1 doubles with Peyton last year. Layton played some singles and some doubles last year. We moved him into 2 doubles last year to really strengthen that core group. So 1 doubles and 2 doubles last year were. We moved him down there to strengthen that category, I guess, if you will, doubles. So this year it made a lot of sense with Peyton graduating last year to move Layton up to 1, and I think they're a great complement to each other as far as energy and even play. Layton is super consistent and smooth strokes, and Drew is super powerful, right? We all know that, right? as far as the overheads and the big serve, they're both great at the net. I think their strengths play to each other in such a way that they're an incredible team. And it shows. I think they've only been beaten by 1 team this year. It's Evansville North, and I think Evansville North moved a couple of their guys at least that we saw last year, a couple of their better players and moved them down into the number one double spot. And when you get that, you kind of battle, like if Caleb Hyman is their coach, and if I'm him, I'm thinking, okay, can I take these two that are really good players individually, and can I put them into a doubles team, and can they mesh well, and can they play well as a team? And they have, right? So that Evansville North team is the only team that's gotten us this year at one doubles. But man, other than that, I look for them to come off the court first every time. I told them on, what was it now, Wednesday, to set the tone. And they did, as far as getting in, getting out, taking care of business, securing the win. They've brought a lot of energy here late in the season. You see a lot of big hitting, and they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
The bad thing is I haven't watched so much this year because they've been so consistent, right? That it's like, I've kind of missed out on the joy of watching them just because I could kind of throw them out there and put them in the back of my mind. But yeah.
Number two doubles.
Two doubles, Reese and Luke. And these guys,
seniors again.
Yes, seniors again. So Reese was two doubles last year with Cohen first, and then with Layton, and then Luke took over that open spot this year. And they've just been, they have, I think their record 14-7 this year. I mean, they've played a lot of tough competitors. It's tough. Drew and Layton have done it well. It's tough to really get together and mesh as a team within, tennis is about a couple months. We got some of the stuff in the summer. But they've done a really good job of coming together, playing well. We work on trying to capitalize on Reese as a lefty and where he has some of his strength in the middle, placing serves, being aggressive, moving into the net, all those things that you want to do in doubles we've been working on this year. So, they've had a good year, I think, 14-7 as well. And one of those was a really big win over Bloomington South, which was a lot of fun to watch. I think the first set was a tiebreak. The second set was not as close. We kind of ran away with it a little bit more. But when they get aggressive and they have a lot of confidence, and I have a lot of faith in them.
And everybody that we've talked about so far, including Reese and Luke, we talked about Brandon being a bulldog, but they all have that bulldog attitude.
Okay.
It's almost a refuse to lose from every one of them. I know occasionally, but their personalities all seem to be that just great competition, great competitors.
Oh yeah.
And obviously in tennis that serves you well.
Yep. So we spend a lot of time on Isaac because a lot of those attributes obviously pertain to Isaac, and we talked a lot about they kind of pertain to all of those guys. So you're exactly right. A lot of the characteristics, and I go back to it's just they just know how to compete, and they don't like to lose, and they know how to grind through, stay in a match, mentally, physically. They know how to get things done.
And because all of them, just like you said, multi-sport athletes.
I think so.
They've competed a lot over the years. Yeah. Well, we don't leave out Cohen, the young baby of the group, just a junior. Number 3 singles, right? And Cohen obviously will return as really your only starter next year. But
correct.
That's for next year.
Right.
But talk about Cohen a little bit, because obviously 3 singles is a very, very important part of it.
Oh, it is. And I put him, in kind of the same realm with our one doubles, is that I haven't watched him much this year. And he's also on that third court, down closer to the field. So he said one day, he's like, man, I get kind of lonely down there. Can you move me up? So we moved him up the next match. I think it was North Davies. So just to get a crowd around him. But no, super consistent. He is another one that he's in the same realm with those other 6, right? He just finds a way to win. And what you see with Cohen a lot is I feel like first few games of the first set seem to be back and forth and close, and then Cohen figures them out, and then it's over. It's like, maybe 6-3, 6-4 first set, and then it's not uncommon to see 6-1, 6-0 the second set where he's just cruise. And next thing I know, he's walking up the hill, right? Yeah. And I think into third or fourth match of this year, he was flawless. He was 0-0 wins. So, he's so consistent. He's kind of a silent assassin, really nice guy, but just takes you down.
but
unorthodox play,
Yeah.
right? And he's got the backhand. He's got a backhand that a lot of guys won't see. But man, I'm amazed every time I watch it, his precision with that thing, as far as putting it where he wants it, keeping it deep, and he just does a great job.
Well, what I was really interested in on the Barring game, I watched you a lot, and the competitor, the fire that you had, and Isaac was down, and I've got a picture of this, but you came over and you just kneeled right in front of the fence as best you could, gave him all the encouragement you could, probably wished that you could play for him at that point, being the competitor, but I love the fire, and then within 5 minutes, Cohen, I think, was up maybe 5-0, but then all of a sudden it's 5-2.
Mm-hmm.
And you just quickly looked at, I think maybe your JV that was sitting down there.
Yeah.
And you said, give Cohen some love.
Yeah.
That's what he said, give Cohen some love. Go give Cohen some love. And I was within a group of Bar 8 players, and what do you say? Give him some love? Of course, I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Give Cohen some attention.
Yeah.
He's not going to lose, but, make sure we're there for him, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, so it goes back to momentum, right? So he had won the first set and he was up. I wanted that spot. So I wanted that spot to be known because we were, let's see, at that point we had won singles, one doubles. We had lost 2 doubles. Isaac was still playing, Brandon obviously still playing, and Cohen still playing. I really wanted that second spot, and I wanted everyone to know that we won that second spot. So my biggest thing was get down there and by show Cohen some love, I meant like get him across the finish line, right? We need to get spot number 2. Our guys need to know that there's only one spot left to fall before we have this thing in hand, right? So that's what I wanted to do, and he was. I felt like I don't know. I don't have the play-by-play, but I felt like he was stuck on 5 for a couple games, and I just really wanted to get over that hump. So the like Drew and Layton, Reese, Luke, they were all kind of over by 2 doubles court, and I asked them to go down to Cohen, and then whenever I saw those guys, it was kind of a toss-up, right? Because you have Isaac in a dogfight up here, and you've got Cohen down here. At that time, I just felt like it was big to get that second win, and get us up on the scoreboard. So that's why.
So what's this week look like for you? You've got Tuesday night, obviously, Sullivan. So you've got Monday to practice. Do you go out hard? What do you do?
So it's tough at the end of the season. I say it's tough, but you kind of earn it. I think just naturally it's our practices at the end of the year do not look like our practices at the beginning of the year, or certainly not what we do in the summer. I mean, my goal in the last 2 weeks, so the last week of the regular season, so say, like in our case, we played Floyd and we played Terre Haute North on, last Saturday. Once the regular season is done, then it's really just about keeping a racket in your hand and having that consistency, not changing routines. So I will have them come in for an hour, and we have them hit. We have them play points together, not so much serves just to save arms, but we have them play points, and then we'll get in with them and just to mix some things up and play and do some drills. But it's all about being on the court, all about having a racket in your hand and keep swinging. The other thing that we've done, which was a lot of fun this year, was we brought in a lot of. So I made a point of getting a lot of people approved as assistants or approved as volunteer assistants. So on Monday of last week, just to switch things up, have some fun, and also my ulterior motive was just to let them know that they've got a lot of guys that they may have looked up to or may know that were really good tennis players come in and play them. So on Monday of last week, we had Jordan and Jalen Wildman, Nick and Alan Toy, Pete Smith, Jordan Dant, and myself. We just kind of all jumped in and played matches against all the way up and down the lineup. So we played 6 games. We played a 6-game set, and then we switched it up, and someone else would come in and play a 6-game set. Just stuff to keep things fresh. But the most important thing is just routine. Keep playing, keep swinging. But we're not getting down into the shot forms and all of the drills that you do in the summer and early parts of the season.
So I know it's not the case, but it seems like we always draw Jasper on a Tuesday night. Not the case this year. Sullivan, Tuesday night at 5:30 at Jasper, and Jasper will play Vincennes Lincoln same time, right?
Yeah.
On courts down at Jasper. So what can you tell us about Sullivan? You did not play them during the season.
No, we didn't play them. I think their record now is 19-4, which would mean that they were 17-4 in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they've had a lot of success. I don't know anything about their schedule. I don't know their strength of schedule. I think we just have to, because we don't know, we just have to assume that we're in for a battle, and we got to go down there with that mindset, right?
So it's a little bit different than basketball, where you've got the tapes, you got the videos, you can kind of see the teams before they play you. Anything like that at all in tennis?
There's really not. No, I mean, I can go on to, there's a website that I upload scores to, and I can go on and look at, see if they upload, but it's dependent upon if Sullivan does, go on and see who they played, what their scores were, so we can kind of get an idea of strength. But that's about the only way. And then if you see them at tourneys, or which we haven't, or know anyone who has, you can maybe find out some information, but not like the tape sharing and all that stuff, or now with just kind of being out there on YouTube or social media. But no, so we don't know a lot, but I think that's okay. What we've talked about all season here, especially at the end, is if we go out and play our game and assert our will, I got confidence no matter who we play.
Yeah. So if you would advance, and you can't, obviously nobody can overlook anybody at this stage of the season.
Right.
Jasper would probably be there. They're going to be Vincennes Lincoln, but that's a possibility. Jasper, again, highly ranked. The only time you've seen them before was in your scrimmage, or you had a chance to see them during the year?
No. So when I played, there was a Jasper. Well, there still is a Jasper Invitational, probably about mid-season. But we no longer play in that. So we don't see them in a full-on competitive environment. I mean, we have them in the scrimmage. So they invite us down, and we have now, at least 2 years that I've been on board, gone down and played them in a scrimmage. August 10th we did this year. And it gives us a chance to try out different lineups if that's something that we want to look at. It also gives us a chance to kind of see where we stack up there right before the season starts. So we go down, it's two 45-minute sessions. So in our case, we saw a couple different lineups that Coach Yarbrough had at least wanted to show us or had put together, right? So I don't know, I don't see it as much as a kind of a litmus test on where we are or where we will be at the end of the year. I mean, I think we got from our August to our October is 20, in our case this year, 21 matches of just grinding it out, playing hard, improving each day, identifying things that we need to work on, bringing them back to practice, working on them, taking them back into a match setting, and test our results. Are we doing the things that we need to do? So our August to October, there's a lot of time in there, man, to get better where we need to get better, and just to get a lot of reps in, get a lot of time on the court, time in competition, and playing a lot of teams that get us ready for this postseason.
Well, it's your form now, TJ, and anything else that I didn't ask you or we didn't talk about that you want to mention?
Yeah, I think so. I want to make a big thank you and shout out to my coaches in general, the program, right, the core group that we've been able to build. So I said whenever we were talking earlier about what we like to do in the final week of the season, and I said I like to do this, I like to do that. There's no I, right? Like it's all consulting with the core group that we have at the high school level and the middle school level, depending on who's playing and where we are. So I just want to just make that extremely clear that it's a group effort. So we've got Jordan Dant, Pete Smith, Alan Toy at the high school level, that all of us are talking, texting, working together every day to make sure that we are bringing the best product from our standpoint as the coaching staff and the support staff to our guys. And then Todd Hummerkaus and Leslie Van Hoy, from a middle school aspect, have done great things with our middle school as far as consistency, coaching, skill building, learning how to keep score in the case of our 5th grade. And speaking of 5th grade, we were able to add, because of Todd and Leslie, we were able to add 5th grade to the middle school program this year, which hadn't been, I think, at least last year, maybe in the past in general, to the point where they were even able to play a match at Jasper, feel like they're part of a team, wear the Loogootee gear, and even be on the road. So it was such a great thing. But none of this would be possible without that core group of coaches, supporters, volunteers that have stepped in and offered their time and their talent to help us keep going on the trajectory.
Yeah, when you think about it, they all have families. They all have jobs. And speaking of which, you have a job. Your wife has a job. But when you talk about teams, you've got to have the support of your wife, Tracy. And I know she's done a lot for you in this team this year as well.
Oh my gosh. So like we talked earlier, as far as just the decision to jump in and take over a program, that was obviously a huge decision, and very giving of her to say, yeah, go do it. You love it. And so that was huge. But man, her this year with our social media. So last year when I reflected on the season, it's like, what could I do better? Not from a forehand, backhand, wins, loss scenario or standpoint, but like, what just as a program, what could we have done better? And the awareness piece was probably the thing that I felt the most angst with. It's like, man, that could have been a lot better. We had such a great team. We did so many good things that really, outside of that group of parents and friends and siblings and stuff like that, and people that follow Loogootee tennis religiously probably weren't aware of. And that was a bigger deal than just a normal tennis season. So it was a goal of mine to really bolster that this year. So and Tracy knew it because we talked about it last year, and she just said, I'll do all your social media this year. And man, I could not have thought when she told me that, I could not imagine the product that she's put together now as far as what we see after each match. And I'll come home, we'll get home off the road at 10 o'clock, and she'll be there. What are the scores? And she'll work until they're done, and she gets them posted because she wants to make sure that it is consistency. I think she feels the same responsibility that these guys just work their butts off for 3 hours in a match, and I'm going to let the world know how they did before I go to sleep, kind of thing. So I mean, her commitment to the program. She also drove the 5th grade down to Jasper. She also drove the JV to Evans when we had an Evansville North tourney. She drove the JV to Gibson Southern because there was a tourney there. So I mean, just can't thank her enough for her all-in attitude when it comes to helping us in the program. So it's great.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that, I mean, obviously, if you didn't have that, things would be tough.
It is, and a team like this deserves the love, right? I mean, the recognition that tennis gets typically at schools, maybe outside of Jasper,
right?
Small schools, you go on the road, parents are there, maybe a couple of grandparents, maybe a girlfriend, I don't know,
right.
But mostly just, a few people there. And when they come back, it's like, well, how do they do? Well, now, with what Tracy does, I'm able to check, well, I'm doing a volleyball game.
Yeah,
wondering,
right.
Coach Wagner, wondering how the tennis team did. Oh, they go on.
Yep.
And that's not what you used to get. And a team like this, in a sport like Loogootee tennis, deserves the recognition. And it's tough to get because it's a non-revenue sport and people don't follow it as much. But you know what? People like me, we get on the bandwagon pretty quick.
Right.
And we need the people down there Tuesday night. Right?
Yes, we do.
5:30 Tuesday night, Loogootee will play Sullivan. At the same time, Vincennes Lincoln will play Jasper. And then if Loogootee would advance, Thursday night, Loogootee would play the winner of Jasper and Vincennes Lincoln in the championship. And let's hope that's the case.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for watching. Support the Lions Tuesday night. See you down at Jasper.